Drop and Give Me 20 is brought to you by Germono Advertising Company. Drop and Give Me 20 is the podcast for military entrepreneurs. Each episode is around 20 minutes long, giving entrepreneurs a glimpse into the life of other successful military entrepreneurs, learning from their obstacles and gaining insight and inspiration. Podcast episodes focus on the stories, challenges, and wins military entrepreneurs have faced in their businesses. I am your host, Lindsay Germono, and thank you for tuning in. I thank you for your understanding and just empathy and all the things. I've already hit record to the cloud. There will be no snafus. I am so sorry. For those that are listening, this is the Drop and Give Me 20 podcast episode redo. Out of 60 something episodes, I finally did it. I had a really phenomenal conversation with these powerhouse women, friends of mine, and 25 minutes goes by. I save the file and I kind of batch record. And so what happens is I'll save the file and then upload it to Dropbox, and then I completely step away from it. And then when I step away, I dump it. Like, that's just how I process. And then I move on to the next thing. And then I go back to find it and I cannot find it. And I'm literally like, you guys can't see me right now, but I'm laying my head on my desk just beside myself because, and we talked about this in the first iteration, asking people for their time and asking people for 20 to 30 minutes of their time is it's very difficult. And it's also difficult to get, we have every single time zone on this. So, I thank you guys for coming back. For those that are listening, 60 something episodes in, I finally did it. I didn't save a podcast recording. So we're going to hit it, and we're going to hit it even better, bigger, better, badder, bomb, whatever. I am joined today, of course, with my co-host, Claire. Hi, Claire.
Good morning. So happy to be here. I was just saying earlier, I'm like, I'm glad we get round two. Like, I love these ladies. So yeah, this is a treat. It's all meant to be.
We should do this every day. And Corie Weathers joins us, and I'm just gonna read just a short bio. She's a licensed professional counselor, sought after speaker, consultant, and author of Sacred Spaces: My Journey to the Heart of Military Marriage. Corie has focused her career over the last 20 years as a counselor, specializing in marriage, divorce, women's issues, PTSD, and substance abuse. And so I'm very grateful for all of the energy and focus that Corie puts into helping our military families. Tammy Meyer is a military spouse, certified life coach, certified purpose clarity coach, and senior manager with Beauty Counter, helping successful women find more success through her workshops, group experiences, and individualized one-to-one services. So hello. And then what we did last time is Corie and Tammy talked about how they knew each other. So I'd love to just hit it off with that.
So I have to say, when I was nominated for the Armed Forces Insurance Military Spouse of the Year Award, I was an Army spouse, and you get to go to DC, and you're around all these amazing, what I call firecracker of just military spouses, just motivated and doing amazing things. And, when you're like just waking up to how amazing military spouses are, like, it was just so intimidating to be there. And I knew that they were going to be announcing who was going to be the overall, and I didn't know what that meant. And I'll be honest, I was overwhelmed, and I had a little bit of a panic attack. I'll be honest. I literally went into the bathroom and had a little panic attack in the stall. And I believe coming out of that bathroom, tears streaming down my face, at least this is how I remember it, Tammy. I had met Tammy the night before. She was, you're Navy, right? Are you Navy? Yeah. She was the Navy Spouse of the year before. So she was kind of part of that welcoming crew of like welcoming us 2015 batch of women in. And she just has such a calming presence. And I came out of that restroom and there was Tammy, and I just latched onto her. I don't know how to explain it other than that. She just has like this heart to serve, and she calmed me. Just her presence is just so calming. And I just, like, this gravitational pull just went to Tammy, and she did exactly that. She calmed my heart. She vision cast. She just was there for me the way that I think we always think about and expect our military spouse community to be there for each other. And I think that was also, Tammy, the first time that I was around other branch spouses other than my own. And so to like have that camaraderie moment with a Navy spouse, and she's just always been, it's like this imprinting, Tammy. It's just always been that. From that point forward, Tammy has just been that person to me. And so I'm so excited to do this with all of you and to be able to just revisit. So when you say she's um, a purpose and clarity coach, like I cannot express to you guys just how much she is that, like in real life. Just, last thing I'll say is my husband says all the time, like, integrity is who that person is in public is who they are in private. And I can say that about Tammy for sure, is that who she is and what she does for other people is who she is as a friend too. So Tammy, it's good to see you.
Thank you, Corie. Oh my stars. I'm like misty-eyed over here.
It's probably because it's so early.
I was just gonna
I know you won the award for earliest wake up, and you look amazing. For those of you who are watching the video of this,
I am so happy to be here. I thought, what a gift! I get to do this again.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning.
Well, thank you, Lindsay. I'll take that.
Here's a cool little thing I just recognized that we may already know this, but isn't it cool to share this with the listeners? Is that military spouse entrepreneurs don't necessarily know which branch we all are. I have no idea what branch people are. Isn't that amazing? Like, it's kind of like of the one thing that like ties us together is we're military spouses, but we'll have relationships with folks for years and never know what branch they are. Tammy, do you have anything to say about
that? Well, I think it's beautiful. We have this common bond, and there are certain things that just matter so much more than branch. It just brings us all together. So thank you for not knowing. I mean, like last time I checked, yes, maybe.
That's a really good thing to bring up. And Lindsay, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because it's like we don't need these labels, and we don't need to feel like we only can associate with someone who's of like a similar branch or the same branch. So it's just like a good kind of metaphor for life, where we can absolutely push past like any kind of like box or categorization and just go with like what's a natural connection. So that was a really beautiful observation.
I think
I love it.
What's also really interesting about that is, for many of us that are listening, we're in the entrepreneurial space, and your entrepreneurial space may take you 5 different ways from Sunday, just along your journey. But what is consistent is the support that you have from folks that are in your realm. And so Corie had shared some news with our listeners when we recorded the first part 1 of this. And I'm really excited about, kind of revisiting that with you, Corie, if you don't mind, and just kind of share with our listeners a little bit about that, because that path is incredibly important as you are just growing, never mind an entrepreneur or, possibly working for somebody else, or a combination of both. So tell our listeners a little bit about your news, so to speak, with that.
Yeah. So I've spent literally 20 years. I think I stopped counting, so I'm just going to keep it at 20, but 20 years building this clinical career, going through school. And then I worked with women out of prison, before we were even in the military. And then, of course, in the military, it's like, I'm just like everybody else trying to figure out how do you have a portable career. And that led to me fighting for, fighting TRICARE very publicly, and working with the DoD to try to make it easier for licensure portability. And all of it came down to me wrestling with the same struggles that I think all military spouses struggle with. Is I love being a military spouse. I love being a wife. I love being a mother, but I also have this skill set that brings me a sense of purpose, and I love to give back and to fight for how to do that, regardless of where we're sent, is always a challenge. And so, 2020 was a crazy year. We might get into that a little bit later, but, I've worked with the Chris Kyle Frog Foundation for the last 4 to 5 years. It's just kind of grown over time. And I became a clinical consultant, I would say, that transitioned from counselor to consultant as I got to work with organizations and bring that clinical piece to organizations to help them deepen their programs so that they were higher quality, I guess you could say. And so just here at the end of 2020, I mean, we can dive into this more if you want to, but I just really hit a place of burnout where it was time for me to transition and walk away really from this 20-year career. But it was really once I kind of decided to walk away and create space and margin in my life that the foundation offered me a full-time job to come in and really devote and kind of laser focus all of that energy. And so we've renamed the Taya and Chris Kyle Foundation. And so I'll be working with them full time as their National Clinical Director of Programming, which I'm super excited about because it's this everything that I do on a daily basis, but now getting to do that on a much larger scale and hopefully multiply myself a little bit more and help more people. So I'm very excited. And maybe as everybody's listening, that starts here in January, and I'm nervous. I'm excited. There's stretching involved, learning some new things, but it's a really interesting, just total career transition. That's a good thing.
Thank you for sharing that. Congratulations to you. And for those that are listening, one of the things that we had said when we recorded this was that transition from being the boss of you're running your own agency, business, whatever that it is, to now kind of, transitioning to working for
someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tough transition because I think we as spouses, that's the great thing about being an entrepreneur, because you can be portable. You can take it wherever you want to go. You can change and shift or pause, take a break. Like you can do, just have that full control and have the full creative control too of whatever you want your business to be. And so it's a huge transition to take that energy and really be about the success of something bigger than yourself, and also be about the success of a team too. And so somebody asked me, how do you feel about letting go of that control, of that creative control? And honestly, I was like, why wouldn't I? Like, why wouldn't I let go of that? Because it also comes with a ton of stress and responsibility. And to now embrace a team, and to have the challenge of like, okay, I didn't master it, but like, I did that, right? Like I already did that. So now I want to stretch and grow and see what else I can grow in, I guess.
I love it. Tammy, you work with individuals to help them grow in those one-on-one relationships that you have with them. Does this resonate with your work, what Corie is sharing about that kind of transition to the next chapter? Do you see that a lot in your clientele and your workshops?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's everything about coaching is we're all going through transformations, whether we recognize it or not. And then when we do and look up, it's like, oh, I might need a little help with this. This is tough. So yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful that we have opportunities. I think that's the one thing with military spouse unique lifestyles is just don't ever turn yourself off to the opportunities that come to you, because you never know what that's going to look like or how that's going to reshape things. But I think each of us are right where we need to be to learn the growth lessons that are there for us. And yes, entrepreneurship, I mean, I embrace it because I get to plan my work around my family and my life, not the other way around. I just personally never found a way to do that through any other professional role as employee or independent contractor or anything else. And so I am in awe of the people that can do that and get like the greatest gifts out there of those roles that allow them to do that. So I think there's a place for everybody, and however that looks, it's just a matter of, are we ready? And Corie mentioned the Military Spouse of the Year program. I mean, talk about a personal growth journey. Oh my stars. And I had like those same moments Corie did. And that was the one thing that, was really important to me in being an alumni for future people coming through. I'm just like, how can I pay it forward? How can I help? It's such a blessing yet overwhelming experience. And I just had this deep down feeling that Corie was going to do amazingly big things that she couldn't even see. Nobody could see. And I think that's there for all of us. It's just a matter of being ready, embracing it, and knowing that there are constantly opportunities out there, some that you could never dream of and some that you can't see coming. But I think that's the one thing that I have held true to over the years as military spouse is just be surprised by it, sure, but at the same time, keep your eyes open to what's out there. I could have never, ever forecasted the journey that I have had. And I think a lot of us would probably say that.
Absolutely, Tammy. So many great points. And I love that you have touched so much on the idea of just being open to how things unfold in ways that we can't necessarily expect. So maybe we have this sense like, I know there'll be something wonderful with this. I can't see how it's going to unfold. And like you said, when you met Corie, you were like, I can tell something big and awesome is going to happen. And we don't know how specifically it will unfold, but we have those feelings, and that openness and keeping your eyes peeled and open is so good. So it's interesting how there's this juxtaposition of like being kind of laser focused on a goal, but then not being so shut off to the idea where you have these blinders on and you miss things. And so, Corie, I'm sure that this opportunity with the Chris Kyle Foundation, and then it's been renamed, had you been maybe like totally in this like burrowed hole, it wouldn't have come to you. And then Tammy, so many things with you and Lindsay. It's just, I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about not being caught up in like labels or categories and who's associated with this branch or this organization. Just this being openness. I mean, there are countless examples in my life where I never thought I would have ended up where I am physically, or working on the XYZ, or collaborating and partnering with this person. I think we all, when we were talking about on take one of our conversation, where we all became connected and how we all couldn't have guessed that we'd be in the places we are now and able to come together in this forum and talk about how we have grown and all the things. It's just kind of amazing how you kind of sit back and have like, of course, we're also at this point of reflection because we are transitioning from 2020 to 2021 in a matter of days, and just thinking, sometimes it's kind of crazy how it all works out, but it's all kind of in this beautiful, wild way, and just trying to sit back and appreciate the adventure. So it's kind of crazy.
I have a question for you, Claire.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a little bit about this on the first one, but this episode is going to be the first one that airs is January 1st. And I want to ask you, and I'm going to ask Corie next and then Tammy, what happened in 2020 that you are going to carry into 2021? So not something that you're like, oh, I'm so glad it's over, I'm not going to ever do that again, I'm not going to worry about that, it was such a crap year, this and that. But like, what was something that was positive, or a trait or a skill set, or something that, you really are like, I wouldn't have foreseen that in 2019, and you're going to carry it into 2021. So I'll go to Claire and then Corie and then Tammy.
Wonderful. This is such a great question because it's important to try to learn from our experiences and what are these lessons that we can implement in the future. So I think for me, the biggest lesson of this year has been to really implement self-care. And of course, as a trainer and nutritionist with a master's in science and psychology, I was preaching the self-care, but it's often, not always, but sometimes we're not so good about taking our own advice that we are so good about sharing with others. And so I think I was kind of forced in a way to think about, whoa, Claire, you can really, slow down a little bit. And I had been just of the mindset that to be successful, that equaled hustling and hustling hard. And what that meant for me is I was at 2019, most of 2020, living in San Francisco, which we loved so much. But I thought that meant taking every opportunity, saying yes. Okay, you want me to be there? Okay, it's 35 minutes to get there. I have to do something in 30 minutes. Like just like getting myself around this city in a way that was really physically and emotionally demanding, and also ended up being quite of a um, uh, it detracted from the way I was able to serve because I spent so much time commuting, and it ended up in a lot of burnout. So for me, it's been the refocus on self-care and on also observing. My husband is really good about balancing work and rest. And so really looking to this wonderful example I happen to live with, and I'm married to, and letting him and his lifestyle influence me in positive ways. So rest, self-care, and balance are the things that I've shared with everyone. And I'm now saying, Claire, listen to yourself, and taking that into 2021. So I'm really excited to do that. It feels good. And I
Really
think my business is
important
actually,
too, as you're running a business, to have those things.
yeah, absolutely. And my business has grown, and I'm seeing exciting, wonderful things happening as a result of this newfound, just a more balanced way of living. So things are better than ever. So yeah. So Corie, what about you? What are you
So
taking?
I love what you just said. So first of all, it's amazing how many couples I've worked with where there's like this resentment to the serving spouse that they know how to rest and we don't. And you'd be surprised how true that is. And I think that we allow it, we enable it. Like, I can't believe you're spending an extra, hour sleeping or playing video games or whatever. And they're like, well, what is it that you would like to do? Like, please, like, let me know. And we often don't know the answer to what self-care and rest looks like. So I think for me, is exactly what you're talking about, Claire, which is the principle of scarcity. And that was my experience of this past year too. Where I was reaching my own burnout as a result of that hustling. And I think that's a huge trend, not just in the military spouse community. I think for women, especially, there is this idea of, I just need to hustle and do this, have 1,500 plates spinning all at once, and that equals success somehow. And the principle of scarcity is this idea that I don't want to put down any of those plates because I'll lose momentum, right? If I lose momentum, then I'm going to fail, or my business is going to fail, or people will forget about me. That's the social media issue, right? Like if I'm not posting, if I'm not putting things out there, people will forget, I'll lose momentum, and I won't have the quote influence that I need to have to continue. And the principle of scarcity is this idea that we often keep moving and keep pushing really hard into burnout because we're so afraid of that rest and that gap and that space, and that if we make that space, nothing will be there. That's the fear, that if I lose the momentum, nothing else will show up, and that will be the end of all things. And the opposite is actually true, that when you create that space, but you have to make the decision for yourself, like Claire was saying. And it was the decision that I had to make too, of like, I need something different here. And I don't know what that is, but I can't keep going the way that I'm going and putting the energy out in all the wrong places. It doesn't mean that the energy I was putting out there was not, that it wasn't coming from a good place and that the people weren't worth it. They absolutely were, but it was creating that deficit in me. And so when I finally made that decision to not be afraid of the space, and that I didn't matter if something was going to follow it or if it didn't, that I wasn't afraid of losing the momentum or losing whatever, that's when the space created the opportunity for that job that came up. And honestly, you're right, Lindsay, I would not have received that job the months before that, having all of those plates spinning, because I would have been too exhausted to even think about something else. It wasn't until I was willing to let it all go, if that's what it took, that I was willing to actually see something else. And so that's kind of what I'm taking into the next year, is not being afraid of that scarcity, not being afraid of the space to just think and rest and process, and letting go of this hustle mentality that really doesn't do anybody any good. That the cookie cutter approach of what everybody else says out there isn't always the path to success.
Awesome. I was gonna say, both of you guys kind of reminded me of like less is more. When you have like, when you're able to kind of trim the fat and really kind of go into what those choices are and then why. And I love that. Tammy, what are you taking into 2021 from 2020?
Yes. So I just love what you both said, Claire and Corie, that, taking that pause so you're able to look up and see like those opportunities that are waiting for you. And, am I doing this? And then at what expense? Right. So for me, I'm going to be taking with me guarding my morning routine and my evening routine to really, maximize sleep. And you know, before this year or last year, 2020 started unraveling, um, I I would like, how do I explain it? So I was really suffering. That's just the bottom of it, the bottom line of it. And like my son was thriving, so he was born 2 months early and started in the NICU. And bringing him home, like that was hard. That's an understatement. And he was thriving through every challenge, every milestone, but it was at my expense. Like I was not. And so I looked up when things started unraveling in 2020 and I was like, okay, I have to get up Monday morning and figure out what am I going to do? And I didn't realize that at the time. I'm like, we have nowhere to be and we can't go anywhere, so I'm just going to get up when he gets up. Like we're just going to hang out at home for the foreseeable future. And I quickly realized that that continues to not serve me well. So I revamped my whole morning routine. I'm like, what do I need? What can I let go of? And so I just started getting up really early. And for anybody that knows me, knows that that's just not me. When I used to be an employee, I actually had a boss that gave me a mug that said on it, warning, a coffee mug, warning, you could become a cheerful morning person by drinking coffee. Like mornings, I just love sleep. So, but now I'm like pretty consistently 4:30, 5, and I'm starting with exercise. Does it happen every day? No, it doesn't. Does it happen on the weekend still? Yes. Those are my favorite days of the week to really wake up early. So I just created a new ritual for myself, and I do the same kind of work it backwards at night before I go to bed so I can position myself to get up in the morning and do those things. That is what I'm taking with me next year because I am a better person. I'm a better wife. I'm a better mom. I'm a better coach. I'm just better overall when I stick to those things. So
I love it. I love it. Ladies, I could talk to you for hours. But in the interest of Dropping in Me 20 is supposed to be 20-minute episodes, and that's long gone. It's like season 4 blew that out of the water. It's just not enough time to like get into the like juice of things. For those that are listening, I do want to make sure that you connect with Corie and Tammy and Claire. So Tammy, how do people what's the best way for people to connect with you?
I love good old fashioned email. Send me an email, Tammy Meyer Life.
Yes.
Tammy Meyer Life Coach at gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram, Tammy's Healthy, Happy Life, which is a total mantra. I mean, seriously, yes, it's most of the time healthy. Is it always happy? Of course not. So Instagram, email, and I would love to connect. I'm doing vision board workshops in January, and it's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Thank you. What about you, Corie? How can people connect with you?
Easiest way is I do have a website. It's CorieWeathers.com, CORIE. And then all of my social media is at Corie Weathers. At Corie LPC for a licensed professional counselor. So those are probably the easiest ways. And as I'm taking this job, the Life Giver directory is still going to be up and running. It's a great directory. If you're looking for a counselor that understands your lifestyle, we have over 200 global clinicians that are competent and are available, and that you can find them there in the directory.
Thank you for putting that together for us. One of the things that I always find surprising is when you do stuff like that, you don't hear the thank yous from all the many people that you touch. So thank you from all those that may have already looked at that, and maybe you'll never meet them, but they've used it. And so, and just an incredible resource. And then last but not least, the one and only co-host, Claire, tell them where to find you, tell them about your program, and I'll let you wrap it up from there.
Awesome. Thank you. So like Tammy, Good old-fashioned email is also good for me. So I'm Claire at fdlfitness.com, Claire@fdlfitness.com. I also hang out on Instagram, and I am at Fleur de Lis Fitness, FleurDelisFitness. So I have a membership club that has been hopping and so fun. Lindsay's a part of it. It is such a great way to start your morning Tuesday and Thursdays. And it's been a really cool community that we've been building of amazing women across the country, and also private coaching. And I also am working on a little something special that will be launching in early January. So stay tuned. I'm trying to help women find balance with fitness and nutrition, mindset, life, all of the things. And I'm taking my own advice now, as I mentioned, which is really, really important. Yeah. And then, Lindsay, I don't know if there's time to ask if they have, I don't know, maybe like, is there a word or a mantra that you're going to take into 2021? I was talking with my mom earlier, and hope has been her word for 2020, and she said, I'm gonna continue this. So usually she changes her word every year, but she said we still need hope for 2021. So I would love to know if you just have like a word or a mantra you're taking with you into the next year.
So mine is do good, be better. We have deployment mottos. And so I just want to be about things that are good and right, and good decisions even, and being good to people. And I just want to grow. I want to be better. So that's mine. What about you, Tammy?
That's great, Corie. I haven't discovered my word yet for 2021. I'm in the process now. This past year for 2020, it was heal, ironically, and I identified that before everything unraveled, and I really feel like I accomplished that. So I love this concept, Claire. Thank you for asking, because it's like it sets a theme for the year. You can filter everything through it and then choose intentionally instead of just operating out of habit. What about you, Lindsay?
So New Year's Eve is my favorite holiday of the whole year. You can have your Thanksgiving. I appreciate Christmas, but I just dislike the madness and the stress and anxiety, and that holiday is very difficult for some folks. When you get to New Year's, that is my jam. The energy, and like, think about even if you're just at dinner, like everybody is no one's kind of like ho hum, I'm forced to be here. And so that's what I care. That energy is what I carry into 2021. I remind myself of that every single New Year's Eve. We're normally traveling. Of course, we're not traveling like forever now. I don't know when we're going to travel again. But that's kind of where my focus is into 2021 is just bringing that energy, that high energy that is also very healthy. I'm a lot like you women where, less is more, saying no frees up the things that you can say yes to, and balance, and, juggling or prioritizing what matters. And so, but with that, I can still have the same energy, because some days you wake up and you're just like, ugh, it's just, especially in this pandemic, where we're not able to see our families or do the things that we, maybe took for granted a little bit before. So that's my energy. Claire, did you give us your word?
Yeah, I'm copying my mom and using hope.
Oh, you're saying hope. Okay. All right, good.
I'll say that.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast again. And for those that are listening, please do connect with Corie, Tammy, and Claire. They are just phenomenal women to have in your corner and cheering you on in your business endeavors and personal lives as well. Thank you, ladies. And I know this won't be the end of us touching base. Have a very happy New Year's. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Drop and Give Me 20. Drop and Give Me 20 is brought to you by Germono Advertising Company, and we would love to invite you into our network of military entrepreneurs on Facebook. Just search for Drop and Give Me 20 and join the Facebook group.